I'm now in conversation with Josie Fraser, who's Head of Digital Policy at the National Lottery Heritage Fund. I'm glad I got that out of the way. I'm delighted to welcome her to this video interview, which really is a pre-runner for the event that we're holding next week, the webinar on digital heritage, aging society and healthy community development. So, Josie, just tell me a little bit about yourself. I understand that you're an educational technologist. So how has your career taken shape?
Hi, and thank you very much for having me. I'm really glad to be here to talk to you today. Yeah, I'm an educational technologist by trade. I've been working in educational and social technology for around 16 years now. And really my kind of career has come from a point of working with the education sector. I started out actually in the further education sector, but subsequently I've worked across schools, I've worked across universities, I've worked across adult education as well. Started out basically supporting organisations and in how they use technology to engage with learners and learning and support effective teaching and learning experiences and opportunities for their populations. So from the outset, my work's been very much skills focused in terms of supporting staff and organisational development in the adoption and the use of a range of technologies to better support their communities.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you spent some time at the Department for Culture, Media and Sport. What were you involved in there?
I did. It's actually the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport now.
Whoa!
Yeah, I know, new world. So I was actually brought in to help support the department as it adopted digital into its title, to try and support and establish its credibility across government and develop digital as a policy brief. So I did quite a few things while I was there. I worked quite a lot across various government departments, so I did a lot of work with the Home Office, with the some work with the Treasury, a lot of work with the Department for Education and the Department for Health. I worked on supporting senior leaders in understanding digital and looking at what digital leadership might mean, particularly within a government context. That's both for our government and for governments internationally. I also did quite a lot of work on the online harms white paper that came out, because I have quite a big background supporting around online safety issues, and also obviously education. And there's a big intersection of both of those issues. And I also did some work supporting our kind of digital diplomacy strand, so looking at working with governments internationally on digital policy.
Okay, that's excellent. That's a very broad background, and obviously deeply ingrained. Digital is deeply ingrained, like something like it through a stick of rock in your career. So that's very good. So, what attracted you to the job as head of digital policy for the heritage? What attracted you to that?
Well, it's just an absolutely fantastic opportunity to support a sector that I'm very passionate about myself, in coming to terms with, getting to grips with, moving forward with how digital can make life better for everybody. So heritage is not a unique sector in terms of where it is in its adoption and its use of digital. Most sectors, including government, including education, including lots of other areas, have a kind of, at the moment, a varied profile to how they engage with and make use of technology. You'll get groups of people and departments and organisations who are very effective, really confident in terms of their use of digital, but you'll get other organisations, and even within organisations you'll have a varied kind of spread of how confident and well-informed people are about how they can use technologies and use digital to take their work forward. So a lot of my work's always been focused on supporting individual staff development in the context of organisational change and development. So it's brilliant to be able to bring that and those kinds of techniques and approaches to the heritage sector to support us on our kind of journey, and it's turned out to be quite a timely intervention as well, because obviously at the moment a lot of organisations are under huge pressure and have had to very quickly get online and very quickly make use of digital in a way that they probably plan to do a little bit more leisurely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, I share your passion for digital and also for heritage, and I've been fortunate enough to meet some extraordinary people over the years who've been very innovative in the use of digital technologies for development of their own community based around heritage. I won't go into these stories now because time really doesn't allow it, and I could talk forever on the subject. So we'll have plenty of opportunity to discuss all of this at the webinar next Tuesday. I've got some excellent panelists to sit alongside you. One of them is an old school friend of mine called Chris Blakey. He drove from his home in Corsham in Wiltshire to Tokyo in a 1932 Austin 7. So he drove across Siberia to catch a ferry from Vladivostok over, and he actually made it to the Rugby World Cup. Now, so he's got a wonderful story, and I was privileged enough to act as this kind of videographer and a recorder of his story. So every day I would get videos and pictures at different stages of his journey, which then was put into a blog that he made, and now he's going around inspiring people. Inspiring people in a way I think that wasn't really available to people in my generation when they were growing up. You know, I relied on the stories of my grandparents to tell me about what life was like in my hometown, and this is what gave me my love. So there's Chris Blakey, and also we'll be joined by a lady who lives in a nearby village called Grafton Regis, which was really a great, a very popular weekend retreat for Henry VIII. So he used to go there with Anne Boleyn, and it was actually when he was there that Cardinal Wolsey advised him that he wasn't going to get a divorce from the Pope. So there's some great stories to tell around local heritage, and I'm hoping to bring perhaps one or two more people into the discussion. So I'm sure it's going to be a very enjoyable session. Thank you very much for joining me this morning, Josie. Is there anything you would like to add about how you see your job developing over the next year or so?
Well, I'm actually wanting to get to grips with a whole range of policy issues within heritage. So I'm very interested in looking at particularly licensing issues, looking at archiving issues, looking at hosting issues. At the moment, my work's very much focused on skills and skills development, because obviously that's really the most needed thing at the moment. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting to grips with more of the breadth of digital policy areas around heritage. The one thing that struck me and that I'm very grateful for is the tremendous diversity of the heritage sector in all kinds of ways. You know, and I like working with diverse communities. I like looking at solutions that support all kinds of different people in all kinds of different places with all kinds of different problems. A lot of work we do and the approach I take on work isn't about just finding a thing that will do this thing for you, but actually equipping people with the kind of critical skills and confidence to be able to explore and have fun with those kinds of challenges. And like you were saying, you know, things like how do we make amazing digital stories? How do we present things in ways that are more accessible to people? How do we really bring to life things that we're passionate about. All of those kinds of challenges. I'm really excited to be supporting the sector on moving forward with those.
No, thank you very much, Josie, and I share your aspirations. And once again, I just want to say thank you for joining me this morning and also agreeing to be a panelist for the webinar on May the 19th at 2 o'clock. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it.